Students, I welcome to you all. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the revision part. So for your terminal exam, you are going to write a science test, 80 mark. So in this science test, you have two lessons in physics. So first of all, I am going to discuss about the question pattern. So totally, you are going to write the test for 80 marks. So in this 80 marks, physics it carries 25 marks, and chemistry also 25 marks, and biology 30 marks. Totally 30 plus 25 plus 25, totally 80 marks. So in our physics part, you have 4 1 mark questions, and the science question paper already you are practiced very well in the 9th standard. And in science 80 mark test question paper, it contains the 3 parts. One is first part. Part A is a 1 mark question, and part B is a 3 mark question, and part C is a 5 mark question. In physics, in part A you have 4 questions, and part B also 4 questions, and part C you have 2 questions. In part C, 5 mark, we have 2 questions in physics, 2 questions in biology, 2 questions in chemistry. Totally 6 into 5, 30 marks. And 1 mark, totally 14 questions. So 14 1 marks, 6 5 marks. So remaining marks it carried over by the part B. So each and every question is a concept oriented one, especially for a 1 mark question. 1 mark question, out of this 14 question, most of the question is based on the concept oriented. And in this part, I think you don't have any choose the best, because our CBSE board, they are changed the question pattern. I think so. Maybe in our school question, maybe it has some objective type in 1 mark, and true or false, and variety of things are there. But definitely you have several assertion reason question, several diagram based questions, and maybe they are asking a simple numerical question also. So this is your question pattern. And in 3 mark part also, we have the separate division. If you are 15th question is a first 3 mark question, not only they are given a direct question, in that 3 mark you have the 2 divisions or 3 divisions are there, as the same for the part C also. Our school question, we are taking 18 mark test without choice. Our school always will follow the question paper without choice. Okay, so this is the question pattern. Already we are completed this chapter in the month of April, June, and also we will give the brief revision through your live classes. And now also I am going to give you a quick revision for these 2 lessons, the human eye and the wonderful world, and another one is electricity. First, now I am going to give the quick revision about the human eye. Human eye and the wonderful, colorful world. So in this lesson, I display the parts, the total lesson content, structure of the eye and the function of the eye, and power of accommodation of the human eye, and what are the defects are there and how we can rectify it. This is the first part of this lesson. And second part is refraction through the denser medium. Especially in your textbook, they are discussed about the prism and the scattering of light. So this is the extracted content in this lesson. And in human eye, 3 parts are there, 3 layers are there: outer layer, middle layer, and inner layer. Outer layer is called as a sclera, and middle layer is called as a choroid, and inner layer is called as a retina. Retina is a focusing point, and this is a structure of the human eye. And there are variety of the parts are there. We are going to discuss about only the few things, because in your textbook they are discussing a very few things. And first of all, you know about the diameter of the human eye. It is 2.3 millimeter centimeter. It's not a constant one. It is variable for person to person. And also, I discussed that 100 percentage of the growth is completed up to your 12th age. When you reach age 12, 100 percentage of growth of human eye is completed. And the parts, pupil, cornea, and the iris, ciliary body, and blood vessels, retina, choroid, sclera. These are the main parts. In your textbook also, they are slightly touched that parts. And this diagram is very important. Most of the time, they are given that diagram. You are going to mark that particular parts. They are not asking almost draw the diagram. So at least you practice to draw the diagram with these several parts. The ciliary muscles, ciliary bodies is used as a diaphragm for the lens and these iris. Iris, center part of the iris is a pupil, and cornea, sclera, choroid. The cornea and sclera is the outer layer. Cornea is a transparent membrane and sclera is a opaque membrane. And in between the lid and that cornea, it is filled with a liquid. And cornea and iris, in between the point also, it is filled with the aqueous humor. And one thing, in the backside of the eye, the retina, when the light image is focused at the any of the point in the retina, it produces the image. And we have one point, the blind point. When it is focused at the blind point, note the arrow mark. In this point is a blind point. If it is the object is focused at the blind point, we cannot see the object. Okay, that thing is also important. Blind point. And optic nerves, it is used to transmit the electrical signal that it carry over the messages from the eye to the brain. And these are the parts already we have discussed it clearly. So at least you know the function of these parts in the human eye. And power of accommodation, the near point and the far point for human, it is also an average value. It may be varies from person to person. It is an exact value for normal eye. For normal eye, the near point 25, for power point is infinite. And the far point is nothing but how long you can see it. A near point means it is a minimum distance at which the object can be seen most distinctly. Distinctly and clear vision, minimum distance is 25 centimeter. Distinctly clear vision, for longer distance it is called as a far point. And the power of accommodation. Power of accommodation is nothing but the capacity of the human eye to change the focal length. So first diagram focus the furthest object, and second diagram it is focus the nearest object. So it is a capacity to focus any one of the object or capacity to change the focal length of the lens. A human eye is a convex lens, so it is a converging lens. And the defects of vision. Your textbook they are discussed the three defects: myopia, hypermetropia, and presbyopia. So normal vision, it is focused at that point in the back side of the eye. And myopia, who is affected by the defect myopia, the image is formed in front of the retina. Normally, it is focused at the retina, and myopia in front of the retina. In hypermetropia, it produces behind the retina. And the hypermetropia, it is corrected by with the help of the convex lens. It is corrected by convex lens. And myopia, it is corrected by concave lens. And these are the difference between the hypermetropia and myopia. We call the hypermetropia is nothing but farsightedness, and myopia is called as a nearsightedness. You note this differentiation, and most of your public exam, they are asking this difference sometimes in 3-mark question and sometimes in 5-mark, one part of this 5-mark question. This is the only direct question they are asking in your textbook. And presbyopia, it is due to the aging factor. If the person ages increases, so automatically all of the human is affected by the presbyopia. Old people, it's affected by, most of the old people affected by presbyopia, and it is corrected by with the help of the convex lens. And some of the person is affected by both myopia and hypermetropia, and they are using five focal lens. The five focal lens, it consists both convex and concave lenses. And refraction of light, this is the refraction. The upper part is a rarer medium, and the lower part is water denser medium. When the light ray is entered from rarer to denser medium, it is bent, or it is the refracted ray moves towards the normal, because the density is greater for the second medium. If the light ray is traveling from denser to rarer medium, that refracted ray is away from the normal. The dotted line, it indicates the normal, and the horizontal line, it indicates it is the surface to separate the rarer and denser medium. And here we are mentioned the three angle of incident, and angle of refraction, and angle of deviation. The angle of deviation in this diagram, it is nothing but the angle between the incident ray and the refracted ray. Now we are going to study about that refraction of the light ray through the prism. So here also we mentioned that angle of deviation. In this diagram, the angle of deviation is the angle between the extended line of the incident light and the emergent light. So the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray is called as angle of deviation. So in this diagram also we can mention I, R and delta. Delta is angle of deviation. Very few times they are asking to draw the diagram of refraction in the prism, and sometimes they are given that diagram, you are going to mention the parts, and 60-70% of the time they are asking the numerical problem with respect to this diagram. Okay. And this is the dispersion of white light in a glass prism. White light is a combo of colors. When it is dispersed with the help of the glass prism, it is separated into several colors, FGR. So note this colors order. This is the most important concept oriented 1 mark question in this lesson. So using this diagram, we can able to attend all the concept oriented 1 mark question. The questions maybe they are asking which color having moving with greater speed inside of the prism, which color light is moving with lesser speed inside of the prism, and which color get more deviated, and which color get less deviated color, more deviated color, and high speed color and less speed color, and which color having the greater wavelength, which color having the lesser wavelength. So these are the several types of questions they are asking with respect to the dispersion of the white light in glass prism. So concentrate all the questions. So especially speed. We know the formula for refractive index, mu is equal to CA divided by CM, or lambda A divided by lambda M. And also I will give the another one formula, mu is equal to sin I divided by sin R. So which one is moving with the high speed? Which one is moving with lesser speed? The high speed means mu is equal to CA by CM. If the light is moving with the high speed, the refractive index is very less. Refractive index is less means high speed means refractive index less. Refractive index less means which light ray having the greater wavelength. So that is the interrelation. High speed, less refractive index, so high wavelength. So high wavelength color is red. Violet color having the very less wavelength, it is around 4000 to 4500, and the red color it having the wavelength value 8000. So, so students concentrate this concept. Uh, High frequency, that's also important. We discussed about only the higher wavelength for red color and lesser wavelength for violet color. And the frequency and wavelength is inversely proportional. If suppose they are asking, the question is which color having the greater frequency means lesser wavelength. So greater frequency color is red, lesser frequency color is greater frequency color is violet, lesser frequency color is red. Inversely proportional. Red having higher wavelength, so lesser frequency. The violet color having lesser wavelength, greater frequency. Okay. And the next one. So I discuss all these points. And this is a recombination of white light. The white light, it is dispersed through several colors, and that dispersed colors, it can be recombined to form a white light. So we can focus a white light in the screen with the help of the concept recombination. Here you note the one thing. If they are asking this diagram in your upcoming exam, you note it, the white light, it is entered from rarer to denser. It is rarer to denser. So that light ray is towards the normal. So you applying that concept and you draw the path of the light rays, each and every places. Okay. And the next one, twinkling of stars. It is due to the two reason, and the adopted reason is atmospheric refraction. Due to the atmospheric refraction, the twinkling of star process is possible. And also we can say that the distance is also one of the reason. Due to the distance only, the refraction is very more. The refraction of the light rays from the sun to the earth surface, it get more refraction. The refraction value is increases from the upper part to the lower part, because in the upper part there is no air content, so the refraction is increases when the light rays is comes from the sun to the earth surface. And the stars appear higher than they actually are. Actual position they are very higher. Why? Because the refractive index is increasing. Optically, density increasing. Density increasing means the upper surface, no air content, so there is no ions to refract that light rays. Okay, that's the concept. And next one is the advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. When the sun is above the horizontal line, at that time only we receive the light rays from the sun. But at the sunrise and delayed and the sunset time, 2 minutes before, we can receive the sunlight at the sunrise time. So it is due to the advanced sunrise, and this is by the refraction of the light rays. So actual path is in a straight line, so we cannot receive the light ray. So it is refracted. So after getting more refraction, it entered to the earth surface before 2 minutes of the sunrise. And after a sunset, 2 minutes, we can receive the sunlight. It is also due to the refraction of the light ray by the air molecules. And this is with respect to the delayed sunset. So for these two concepts, if the sun below the horizontal line, definitely the light ray, it does not reach the earth surface without any refraction. But here the refraction is possible. So 2 minutes earlier we receive the sunlight, 2 minutes additionally 2 minutes we receive the sunlight. So totally 4 minutes. Additionally 4 minutes we receive the sunlight in daytime. And scattering of light. So this scattering of light are due to the scattering. The daytime the sky appear in blue color, and the sunset and sunrise time it appear in reddish color. And the astronaut can they are feel that color of the sky is black. So all these things can be explained with the help of the scattering of light. So what is mean by scattering? Scattering is nothing but it is a reflection of the light ray by the particle present in the atmosphere. And also it is reflected in all direction, not only a particular direction. The light ray it reflected in all the direction by the atoms present in the atmosphere. That is a statement for scattering of light. And how much amount of it will be scattered, it is explained by the formula S directly proportional to 1 by lambda power 4. That concept already I told in the class. You note this concept. If suppose they are given, if you are increasing the wavelength of the light ray, what will be happen? If you are decreasing the wavelength, what will be happen? If you are increasing the frequency, what will be happen? So there are 4 types of question. It is a chance to asking that in your exams. So if you increase the wavelength, amount of scattering reduces. If you are decreasing the wavelength, the amount of scattering it will be increases. If you are applying the same concept for frequency, in terms of frequency, it is in reverse order. Okay, amount of scattering is directly proportional to the frequency. Amount of scattering is inversely proportional to the 4th power of the wavelength. To understand this concept, this is very important for concept oriented 1 mark question. And these things already I discussed, why it is red color, why it is bluish. In the daytime, the distance is very shorter between the earth and the sun. So most scattered color blue, because low wavelength, most scattered color is blue. So we can see the blue color alone. But in the sunset and sunrise time, the light ray want to travel a longer distance. So most scattered blue color completely scattered. And the least scattered red color only reach for our vision. That is the exact answer for why appearing in blue, why appearing in reddish. And for sky appearing in dark, blue color of the sky is on the account of scattering of the light of wavelength by the particle and so on. If the earth had no atmosphere, there would not have been any scattering and the sky would have looked dark. When the astronaut is in his spacecraft goes above the atmospheric of earth, sky appear dark to that particular astronaut because there is no scattering of light. So the scattering process is impossible above the particular surface of the earth, because it does not contain any air content. So this is related to this reasoning type question. In your question paper, definitely it contains some assertion reason type of question in 1 mark part, definitely. And few of the question is a reasoning type, and few of the question is advantages, disadvantages, and few of the question is related with the numerical. Few of the question is based on the concept oriented. So in this lesson, we have more concept oriented question and more reasoning question and assertion reason question. This is a very simplest lesson. This lesson number of pages also very less, but it have more content, concept oriented content. And next we are going to recall the next topic, electricity. In this electricity, we are discussed much amount, sufficient amount we are discussed with respect to the numerical question and concept oriented question. Now I am going to give outline about this lesson. This lesson, it have the several content. What is mean by electric current? What is mean by resistance? And what are the symbols we are using in electricity? And what is mean by Ohm's law? What is mean by resistivity? And how the resistivity it will be varies with respect to temperature. And what are the effective resistance in series combination? How we can find out the effective resistance in series combination? and parallel combination. And the last part of in this lesson is heating effect of electric current. In some of the devices, unwantedly it produces the heat energy. For example, fan and light. It lost some energy in the form of the heat. And some of the devices, it is usefully done that total receiving energy it converted into useful heat energy. Some of the devices is convert the unwanted form of heat energy, and a few of the devices is convert into heat energy as a useful manner. For example, the iron box, water heater. So all these devices is working on the basis of heating effect of electric current, or otherwise we called it the Joule's law of heating, working on the basis of working on the principle of heating effect of electric current or Joule's law. We know the formula for Joule's law. H is equal to I square RT is the basic formula. We have the several form, but we are mostly using this formula because for the statement this formula Joule's law definition is belongs to this formula. So that's why we are using this formula. And also, what are the applications? And in alloy, some of the alloys we are using as a heating element. Why? And finally, we are discussed in our domestic why we are using that parallel connection. All the electric circuit, all the home appliances are connected in parallel with the power supply. Why? What is the reason? So in this lesson also we have some of the very few, compared with the last lesson. In this lesson it contains very few concept oriented question, but numerical question, for numerical question and diagram oriented, concept oriented question is very important for in this lesson. Electricity lesson plays a main role. Most of the time they are asking a diagram oriented and numerical question taken from this lesson. So give more important for this type of question, and especially for the temperature variation of the resistivity and in series and parallel combination. These two topic is very important for numerical question. Now I am going to explain few concepts. Already we have discussed all the concept. Now I recall some of the important concept in depth. Let's see the topic. Students, already we have discussed about the revision part for the human eye lesson. Now we are going to discuss about the quick revision for the chapter electricity. By electricity, most of the numerical problem already we are discussed in the regular class. Now I am going to focus the main thing. The thing is very important for your upcoming competitive exams. Okay. Now we have started with the concept current, electric current. Electric current is nothing but a rate of flow of electric charges, and also we know the formula for that. I is equal to Q divided by T. Some numerical problem they are asking this type of formula. We are going to use this type of formula directly. Sometimes we are going to use the formula is like this: Ne divided by T. N is the number of charged particle, and E is the charge of the single electron, and T is the time taken. If they are given any one of the conductor or any one of the material, if the electron is taking the T amount of time to cross that from one end of the conducting material to another end of the conducting material. So for this question, we are using the time taken to cross the one end of the material to other end of the material. It is T. And E is a constant value 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. And N is the number of electron flowing through a conductor in a particular given time. So this is the first formula. Our next topic is related with the some of the component related to the electricity, switch, resistor and bulb, And these are the main devices. Rheostat is a variable resistor, and resistor it having a some of the fixed value, and battery cell. These are the some of the component diagram representation also we are studied. And now we are going to discuss about the topic resistivity. Resistivity. So in this lesson, this concept and the resistor in series and parallel, that two concept is very important. Resistivity, it is denoted by the letter rho. Rho is equal to Ra divided by L. Rho is equal to Ra divided by L. You note one concept. This rho, resistivity of the material, is directly proportional to the resistance of the material and directly proportional to area of cross section of the material and inversely proportional to length of the material. Okay, this is a relation between the rho and these are right hand side factors. And also some question is related to what is the relation between the resistance and area of cross section, resistance and length of the material. So we can rearrange the formula. R is inversely proportional to A and R is directly proportional to L. We can write the formula like this. R is equal to rho L by A. So R is inversely proportional to A. R is directly proportional to L. So some of the question is related to the calculation for R. If you are changing the length, if you are changing the area, what will be happen in the resistance of the material, or what will be happen in the resistivity of the material. If they are compare the two cases, initial condition, if you have the length of the material is L. After that, if you are going to stitch elongated that material, or otherwise if you are fold it into a half, that means if you are reducing the length or if you are increasing the length, there is the one way to asking the question. And another one way is if you are changing the area, if you are changing the area, there is only two possibility to asking that question. One is changing the length, another one is changing the area of cross section. So if you are changing L and A, what will be happen in the value of R and what the changes produced in the resistivity? The resistivity, if you are changing the length, you are changing the area of cross section, the resistivity of the particular material is a constant one. It never be changed because you are choosing a fixed material. If you are selecting any one of the copper material, if you elongated the length or if you changing the area of cross section, there is no change in resistivity because the resistivity of the particular material is a constant one. You doesn't change any the material, so the for a particular material resistivity a constant. You note this one. We know the formula for rho is equal to Ra by L. So easily, if you are changing the length, you are changing the area cross section, easier formula rho is equal to Ra by L apply பண்ணிடுவோம். So if the area is twice, so there is possibility to answer for this question. Resistivity is also twice. So it is a wrong answer. So whenever they are asking, the question is related with the resistivity. If you are going to calculate the resistivity, if initial and final stage the material is the same, means resistivity it never be changed, it remains a constant one. If you are increasing the length, decreasing the area of cross section, whatever may be, the resistivity of the particular material is a constant one. So note this concept. And another one, as usual, you are applying the formula. If you are increasing the length and changing the area of cross section, what will be the resistance value? You apply that concept into the formula. Rho is a constant. So this R is directly proportional to L, R is inversely proportional to area of cross section. So for this case, you directly apply the given value into the formula. And some of the problem, they are given the radius of the material. We have the formula for area of cross section. So we can change the formula like this, pi R square. Pi R square is the area. So if they are given the radius value, you can easily apply that given data into the formula. This is the one concept. And another one, this is with respect to the diagram, graphical oriented question, or sometimes they are asking that concept in a theory view. Now I am going to draw the one tabular column. The first case, temperature increases, and next one is temperature decreases. If you are selecting any one of the material, first of all, I am going to increase the temperature of the material. Okay. And we know very well the materials, it can be classified into three types. One is conducting material, conductor, and another one is insulating material. In most of the questions they are asking with respect to conductor and insulator, that's all. Because in your textbook they are highly focused with these two materials. If you are going to study in your higher classes, higher secondary, you are detailedly studied with respect to the semi-conducting material, not superconducting material, semi-conducting material. Which material having the resistivity in between the conductor and insulator, that material is called as semi-conducting material. Okay. Now, how the three materials is reacted with respect to the temperature, that way we are going to discuss. So each material, it has some of the resistivity, each material, it has some of the conductivity. Now, if you are increasing the temperature of the material, what will be change in the resistivity? If you are decreasing the temperature, what changes in the resistivity? That's the first way. And second one, sigma. This is the conductivity of the material. And here also, conductivity of the material. First, we are going to compare the resistivity of the particular material, how it will be changed with respect to the raising the temperature of the particular material. So initially you raise the temperature for the conducting material. If you raise the temperature, definitely the resistivity is also increases. Resistivity value increases. So for the reverse case, if you decrease the temperature, the resistivity of the conducting material, it will be decreases. This is with respect to the resistivity. Resistivity is a character, or it is a behavior of the material to block the electric current passing through the circuit. So resistivity increases, the conducting material, conducting electric current capacity, it will be decreases. So the conductivity reduces. Resistivity and conductivity is reciprocal to each other. The statement for resistivity, it is a reciprocal of the conductivity. The statement for conductivity, it is a reciprocal of the resistivity. So here it will be reduces, so conductivity it will be increases. At beginning, you focus any one of the concepts. Temperature rises, what will be changes produced in the resistivity of the material. At least you concentrate any one of this part, you can easily answer for all the remaining three. Okay. And for insulator, if you raise the temperature, some of the insulating material is ready to behave like as a conducting material. So resistivity decreases, conductivity increases. Here, abdi reverse la. Temperature reduces, resistivity increases, conductivity decreases. For semiconductor also, it's the same concept for the insulator. For semiconducting, temperature increases, resistivity decreases, and conductivity increases. And for a temperature reducing case, temperature reduces, resistivity increases, and conductivity decreases. So you note all these concepts. Maybe they are asking this type of this concept oriented question in a theory part. Sometimes they are given in a graphical representation form. You are going to find out which material it having the higher temperature, which material having the lesser temperature. That type of question also maybe they are asking. You note this part, or otherwise you take at least a screenshot and note this concept in your notebook. Okay. And the next one for a graphical related numerical questions. And most of the graphical question is based on the Ohm's law. The Ohm's law formula V is equal to IR. And if you are taking the electric current in the x-axis and the voltage in your y-axis, if we have the two curve A and B, already we discussed this concept as a sufficient. So now I will discuss only one simple problem. After that, we will discuss the one more different case. So we are having the two different material. We have two different material A and B, and in x-axis current and in y-axis potential difference. Now we are going to calculate which material having higher resistance. Which material having higher resistance. So for the calculation of resistance, we are rearrange the formula like this: R is equal to V by I. If we need the higher value of R, definitely V value is high and the I value is low. So using this graph, first of all, you are going to identify which slope, curve, which curve it having the higher potential difference and lesser electric current. So compare these two. You consider this is a electric current for the material A, and for here this is the electric current passing through the material B, and this one is related to the potential difference. This is also related with potential difference. So potential is high for the material A and the electric current is also less for the material A. So the material A, it have the higher resistance. So that's a way to calculate the higher resistance and the lesser resistance. And also they are asking one more question. The resistance we can easily calculate with the help of this curve. And sometimes they are asking the question is, what is the slope of this curve? What is the name of this slope? Slope is nothing but y by x. Slope is nothing but y by x. Y is nothing but v and x is nothing but I. So v by I is called as a resistance. So in this graph, the slope is nothing but resistance. Slope is nothing but resistance. And another one term, conductance. Conductance is the reciprocal of the resistance. 1 by R is called as a conductance. Sometimes they are using the notation K, and some of the book they are refer any different symbol. So you concentrate only this symbol representation. Now I am taking K. K is the conductance. So in the different book they are using the different notation. So just you note this word, the K is refer the conductance. Okay. So conductance 1 by R is the reciprocal of the resistance is called as conductance. So if they are asking, this is a given graph. If you are going to calculate 1 by slope, what is mean by 1 by slope? 1 by slope. Slope of this curve is resistance. 1 by slope of this curve is nothing but conductance. That's all. So in this graph, I am taking in x-axis electric current, in y-axis potential difference. If they are asking in reverse order, if you are taking here I, in this case here V, definitely the concept is entirely different from the previous one. Here, if you are going to calculate the slope, slope is I by V. So in this graph, the slope is nothing but conductance. 1 by slope is nothing but resistance. So first of all, you write the formula. What is mean by slope? Slope is y by x. After that, you solve it. Okay. Don't memorize any value. That means slope is a resistance. 1 by slope is a conductance. So first of all, you clearly see the picture, graphical picture, and that you write the formula for slope. After that, you easily calculate it. Okay, that's the one way. And another one question, if they are given the graph is like this, I in x-axis and V in y-axis, and they are given the two values are T1 and T2. You are choosing a only single material, and this graph is with respect to temperature of the material. T1 is the temperature of the material. And also you are applying one different temperature to the same material. So in this two graph, the last case we are discussing about the two different material. Here we have the single material, but we are draw the graph between the two different temperature T1 and T2. So now we are going to calculate the relation between T1 and T2. T1 is greater than T2, or T1 is less than T2, or T1 is equal to T2, or T1 is equal to T2 equal to 0. These are the some possibility to give the options. But most of the questions for your exam, we don't have any choose the best. So you ready to answer with from the graph without any given choice. So first of all, you analyze the graph. X-axis the electric current and y-axis the potential difference. So first of all, you write the formula for the resistance, or you write the formula for slope. Slope is nothing but y by x. So in this graph, the slope is the resistance, V by I. And we know the concept for resistance. If you are raising the temperature, here the given material is the conductor. I am choosing the given material is the conductor. We can apply the same concept for the other type of the material, semiconducting material and the insulator also. Now I am selecting the conducting material in different two temperature T1 and T2. Now we are going to compare the value of T1 and T2. So these are the several possibility. T1 is greater than T2, T1 is less than T2, T1 is equal to T2, and T1, T2 is equal to 0. So now we are going to choose which relation is a correct one. So first of all, you are going to calculate the R. Okay. So if you raise the temperature of any one of the conducting material, if you raise the temperature increases. We know very well the resistivity of the conducting material is also increases. Temperature increases, resistivity of the conducting material also increases. So definitely the resistance of the material also high. Temperature rises, resistivity increases, so resistance of the material is high. So in this graph, which curve it having the greater resistance, or which slope having a higher value, because the slope is nothing but R. In this graph, slope is here R. So which slope having higher value, that curve is having the higher temperature. Temperature greater, that means resistance also greater. Temperature high, resistance of the conducting material also high. So first of all, you calculate what is the value of R for that temperature, two different temperature. So same way, you draw the V here and I, here I, and here V. So for the T2, for the temperature T2, it have the higher potential difference and lesser electric current, high V and low I. So the at high temperature, at the temperature of T2, the R value is high. At T2, the R value is high. So R value is high at the temperature T2, and at the temperature T1, the R value is low. At T2, R is high. At T1, R is low. This is a conducting material. So conducting material, it behave when you increase the temperature, definitely the resistance is high. So R is high for the temperature T2. So T2 is greater than T1. T2 is greater than T1, because this is a this temperature is having a higher resistance of the particular material. So R is high means T2 is also high. So this is a one way. At least you concentrate in this way. If you clear that concept, you can able to answer any variety of questions. I'm not ready to confusing you. You just focusing this point. This is the one given graph, I in x-axis and V in y-axis. And we have the two different temperature curve. First of all, for all these type of the graphical representation question, first of all, you calculate the slope. And after that, you see the question what they are asking. So in this question, you are going to compare the T1 and T2. So R is high for at temperature T2. The given material is a conducting material. So for conducting material, resistance is high at high temperature. Resistance is high at high temperature. So here in this temperature, resistance high. So the answer for this question, T2 is greater than T1. So the answer is T2 is greater than T1. This is the correct answer. So this is one method to asking the question by using that graph, VI graph or IV graph. Okay. So this concept is very important in your exams, and also for your higher studies, higher secondary also, you are going to apply the same concept, because the Ohm's law is a very basic thing in our electricity. Without Ohm's law, we cannot solve any of the problem with related to a simple electric circuits. Okay. And last concept in this lesson is with respect to RS. Resistance, resistors are connected in series. Effective resistance is nothing but R1 plus R2 plus R3 and so on. Okay, that is the formula for effective resistance in series combination. And effective resistance in parallel combination, 1 by RB is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3 and so on. So very easy to calculate the effective resistance in series combination, because you are going to add all the values, but you concentrate in this portion parallel combination, because we have the formula for effective resistance of the reciprocal value. 1 by RB value we can calculate with the help of the formula. So after the calculating 1 by RB value, you should convert that value into a reciprocal form. That time only you can calculate the RB value. Okay. So that's the important one in this case. Already we discussed more problem with related to the series and parallel combination. And now I am going to move the another one concept. Joule's law, heating effect of electric current. Joule's law, H is equal to I square RT. H is equal to I square RT. So you concentrate this formula, because if they are asking in the statement for the Joule's law, Joule's heating effect, the H is directly proportional to square of the electric current. H is directly proportional to resistance of the material. H is directly proportional to the temperature. Okay. So this is the Joule's law of heating. In most of the places, some of the devices is working on the basis of Joule's law of heating, and some of the devices, it lost some amount of energy in the form of heat. So some devices is working on the basis of Joule's law. Some devices it does not working on the basis of Joule's law. So the fan in this place, in this device, the Joule's law is not applicable. But in the iron box and water heater, it's used on the basis of Joule's law of heating. And nichrome, why we are using the nichrome as a heating element? Because it have the higher resistivity, and it does not oxidize easily. This is a very important two things. This is one of the reasoning question also. And why we are using the fuse wire with low melting point? This is one of the reasoning question. The nichrome, it have the higher melting point, but fuse wire, it have the lesser melting point, because if any of the excess electric current is passing through your home appliances, if the fuse wire, it having the low melting point, excess amount of current is passing through the fuse wire, it will be melted. So definitely we can prevent from the electric shock, we can prevent from the high voltage variation. So it is very safer for our home appliances. If that fuse wire, it always allow the electric current, whatever may be the normal current or excess current, definitely our home appliances, it will be affected. So we can prevent from the higher voltage, higher electric current passing through the devices. So that's why the fuse wire, it having the low melting point. Excess amount of current, it will be blocked with the help of the fuse wire, because it will be melted. So circuit disconnected, there is no current passing through the devices. This is the one thing. And one more thing, it is related with your problem. And first of all, if the electric fan is having the power for the problem, they are given the value of power. You are going to calculate the energy consumed by the devices. Energy consumed. Energy is nothing but the product of power and time. They are given the power value. If the fan is working 10 watts hour, 10 watts hour. So the electric fan, it use the power 10 watt in hour, in 1 hour. 1 hour la it using the power 10 watts. So totally that value is energy consumed by the fan in 1 hour. Energy consumed by the fan is that 10 watt hour. So the PT value is 10 watt hour. So you are applying that value to the calculation of the energy consumed by the device. And after that, you are going to calculate the amount paid for this energy consumption. So for this case, first of all, you are calculated the energy consumed by all the devices. Sometimes they are given only one devices. Sometimes they are given two or more than two devices. So first of all, you are calculating the energy consumed by each devices separately. After that, you add all the values, and finally you got the value of energy consumed by the total setup, and you multiplying the amount cost. If they are given the value per 1 unit, the cost amount is 2 rupees. You multiply with 2 Rs, 2 rupee. Before the multiplying that given cost, you must convert that energy value into the units. We know the conversion for 1 unit is nothing but 1 kilowatt hour. 1 unit is nothing but 1 kilowatt hour, or otherwise 1000 watt hour. It is a 1 unit. So whenever you are going to calculate the energy consumed per a device, you must that total value into the unit. After that, you multiplying the given cost for 1 unit. So easily you got the total amount of payment for the energy consumption for the devices. Okay. So this is with respect to the electricity lesson. So we already we teaching the lesson in the April and May month, and also we discuss once again the last month. Now we recall all these chapters, two chapters, human eye and the colorful valve and the electricity. So you are going to write the terminal test for this two chapter in physics. Okay, you are going to write a science test. Already I gave the more details about the question pattern at the beginning. So you, if you want, you go through the videos again, prepare well, study well. Thank you, students. Thank you.